got in the car, and before I could even start the ride, he said my address out loud. I hadn't said a word yet. Nightmare 1. My name's Tyler, and I'd been driving part-time in Wichita for about 8 months when this happened. By then, I knew the city well enough that I didn't always rely on GPS. Some routes just became second nature. That night started like any other. It was just after 11 p.m., and I picked up a ride near Old Town. The passenger was already waiting on the curb, late 20s, maybe early 30s. Clean cut, calm, nothing stood out. He got in, shut the door quietly, and didn't say anything. "Hey, how's it going?" I asked. "Fine," he said. Short answer, not unusual. I confirmed the name and destination, a neighborhood about 15 minutes away, residential, quiet, nothing strange. I pulled away from the curb and started heading toward the main road. That's when he spoke again. "Don't take Central," he said. I glanced at the GPS. Central was the fastest route. "There's traffic," he added. It was almost midnight. There wasn't any traffic. "I'll just follow the GPS," I said. He didn't respond. A few seconds later, "Turn left up here." I didn't. The GPS rerouted slightly. Then he leaned forward just enough that I could feel him closer than before. "You're going to hit construction if you stay on this," he said. I hadn't seen any construction alerts. "I drive this area a lot," I said. "I know," he replied. That made me pause. I checked the mirror. He wasn't looking at his phone. He was watching me again. "How do you know that?" I asked. He ignored the question. "Next right," he said. I didn't take it. Silence filled the car. Then, after about 30 seconds, "You passed it." His tone didn't change. No anger, no urgency, just observation. I started to feel that tight, subtle pressure in my chest, the kind you get when something doesn't feel right but you can't explain why. "I'll stick to the route," I said. "You don't always," he replied. That made my stomach drop slightly. "What do you mean?" I asked. "You cut through maple sometimes," he said, "when you're trying to avoid lights." That wasn't on the GPS. That was something I did occasionally when driving off-app. I didn't respond. We drove the rest of the ride in silence. When we reached the destination, I pulled over quickly. He opened the door, then paused. "You should trust your instincts more," he said quietly. Then he got out and walked away. I checked the ride history later. No previous trips with him, no shared rides, no explanation. But I stopped taking that shortcut through Maple after that night. If that felt too personal, the next driver realized their passenger wasn't just watching the road, they were watching everything. And if you enjoy true, scary stories that feel disturbingly possible, subscribe to Nightmare Central. Because the final nightmare is the one drivers refuse to talk about. Nightmare 2. I drive nights in Tulsa because that's when the money's better. You get airport runs, bar pickups, and a lot of people who just want to get home safely. Most nights are uneventful. This one wasn't. It was around 1:40 a.m. when I accepted a ride from a strip mall parking lot. Everything was closed except one gas station on the corner. The passenger got in the back seat and immediately said, "Don't worry, I won't talk much." I laughed lightly. "That's fine." Then I heard it. A soft clicking sound. I glanced in the mirror. He was holding his phone, but not like someone texting. He was angled slightly toward the front of the car, toward me. "You recording?" I asked. "Just for safety," he said. That didn't sit right. "For both of us," he added. I didn't like it, but I didn't want to escalate anything. "All right," I said. We started the trip. A few minutes in, I noticed he wasn't just holding the phone. He was adjusting it, tilting it, making sure it had a clear view of the dashboard, the steering wheel, me. "Is there a reason you're filming?" I asked. "People lie," he said. "What do you mean?" "Drivers, passengers, everyone lies." That was it. No explanation, just that. I focused on the road, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't normal. Then he spoke again. "You ever been accused of something you didn't do?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. "No," I said eventually. "You will," he said. The way he said it made it sound like a guarantee, not a possibility, a certainty. The ride felt longer after that. Every red light dragged, every turn felt heavier. When we finally reached his destination, I pulled over immediately. He didn't get out right away. Instead, he leaned forward slightly. "You handled that well," he said. "Handled what?" I asked. "Most people get nervous when they're being watched." Then he stepped out and closed the door. I ended the ride immediately and reported it through the app. A few days later, I got a notification. My account had been flagged for inappropriate behavior. It was resolved quickly after review, but the report came from that same passenger. No details, no explanation, just a complaint. That's when I realized he wasn't recording for safety. He was recording to control the situation. The final nightmare is about a ride that didn't just feel wrong. It led to a place this driver still refuses to talk about. Nightmare 3. My name's Eric, and I'd been driving in Kansas City for just over a year when this happened. By then, I'd seen just about everything. Drunk passengers, arguments, people trying to bring too many friends into one ride. But nothing like this. It was a little after 2:10 a.m. when the request came in. Pickup location, outside a small house just east of downtown. Not a busy area. Mostly older homes, dim street lights. Quiet at that hour. I almost declined it. Late-night residential pickups usually meant problems, but the fare was decent, so I accepted. When I pulled up, the porch light was already on. A man was standing near the curb, mid-40s maybe, wearing a dark jacket, hands in his pockets. He didn't wave or check his phone, just stood there, waiting. I rolled down the window slightly. "Ride for Daniel?" I asked. He nodded once, then got in the back seat without saying anything. The door shut a little harder than I expected. "Where are we headed?" I asked. He gave me the address. It was about 25 minutes away. Edge of the city. More rural. That made me hesitate for a second, but I started the ride anyway. We pulled away from the house, and I noticed something immediately. He wasn't moving. Most passengers adjust, check their phone, look out the window. He just sat there, still. "You been out tonight?" I asked, trying to break the silence. "No," he said. That was it. No follow-up, no conversation, just one word. We drove for about 10 minutes before I noticed something in the mirror. His hands. They weren't in his pockets anymore. They were resting on his knees, gripping them tightly, not shaking, just tense, like he was holding himself together. I looked back at the road. Something about that made my stomach feel off. "You do this full time?" he asked suddenly. "Mostly nights," I said. "That's dangerous." The way he said it didn't sound like concern. It sounded like a statement. "I've never had any issues," I replied. He didn't respond. We kept driving. Then, out of nowhere, "You ever think about how easy it would be?" he asked. I frowned slightly. "How easy what would be?" He leaned forward slightly. "Stopping somewhere no one would notice." My grip tightened on the wheel. "I just follow the route," I said. "That's what they all say," he replied quietly. The GPS showed we were about halfway there, but I started noticing something else. The roads were getting darker, less traffic, fewer houses, the kind of area where if something happened, no one would hear it. I thought about ending the ride early, but we were already pretty far out. Then he said something that made everything worse. "You passed a turn," he said. I checked the GPS. I hadn't. "No, I'm still en route," I said. He didn't argue, didn't correct me, just sat back again. But now I could feel it. The tension in the car had changed, like something was building. A few minutes later, the GPS said, "Arriving at destination." I slowed down, but there was nothing there. No house, no driveway, just an empty stretch of land with a dirt road cutting off into the trees. "This is it," he said. I didn't move. "There's nothing here," I replied. "It's back there," he said, pointing toward the dirt road. I felt that pressure in my chest again. "I don't drive off-road," I said. Silence. Then, "You should." That was the moment I knew something was wrong. "I can drop you here," I said. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached forward slowly and put his hand on the back of my seat, not grabbing, not aggressive, just there, close enough that I could feel it. "You're already here," he said quietly. Every instinct I had told me not to move forward, so I didn't. I put the car in park. "I'm ending the ride," I said. No response. I reached for my phone. That's when he spoke again. "If you leave now," he paused, "you'll think about this every time you drive at night." I didn't turn around. I didn't respond. I just ended the ride, unlocked the doors, and said, "You need to get out." There was a long pause. Then the door opened, closed. I waited a full 5 seconds before moving. Then I drove, fast. Didn't check the mirror, didn't look back, just drove until I saw streetlights again. When I finally stopped, my hands were shaking. I checked the app. The trip was marked as completed. No issues, no complaints, no record of anything unusual. But here's the part that still bothers me. The pickup address was no longer in my ride history, like it had never existed, and I never saw that passenger again. But every time I get a late-night request near the edge of the city, I think about that dirt road and how close I came to turning onto it. Something even scarier than this nightmare is not watching more videos from Nightmare Central. This was nightmares of ride shares. Sleep carefully.